Hello, extra time.
It's important to the league not to get a hook because it damages your reputation. It makes people, when they read it, just laugh at you.
The single block, they're playing in the League One and they're playing in the Europa League and they're crediting the game in this country. Maybe we should get Stephen Kenny down to manage the Irish team.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Extra Time Football Podcast. Your host Luke Jordan, Season 12, Episode 21 today. I'm delighted to say McDar first dialed in Berlin. McDar, how are you?
Hi Luke, how's it going on?
Yeah, not too bad. How's Berlin today?
It's nice and sunny actually because we've had kind of cooler weather and a bit of rain, but actually, yeah, really bright sunny day, bright Sunday in Berlin.
Tourism-wise, what have you done, what have you seen?
The latest is I headed out of Berlin. I went down to Potsdam to have a look at the Stand Sushi Palace, I think is how you may pronounce it, but I availed of the kind of the Zone ABC train ticket just to go out about 40 minutes. So yeah, it was really quiet out there, just kind of nice wander around, just a bit relaxing because it was hectic last couple of days because I was up in Hamburg at the Portugal-France game, came down to Berlin for the Netherlands-Turkey game. I'm kind of with games going to extra time and staying for post-match press conferences and things. They were kind of late nights. So yeah, it was a nice day today in Berlin.
How was Hamburg in the end? What's your review of Hamburg?
Yeah, interesting. I met with Joe Callan. He was also at the game. Gavin Cooney was at the game as well. And what basically I decided was it was literally staying the wrong side of the track. So where I was pretty rough. Like I live in inner city Dublin, so you know I kind of see what I see. But yeah, there was a lot of like open drug taking, a lot of kind of people kind of wandering around that you'd really want to maybe just slightly avoid. But you go the other side of the train station, and it was lovely with a nice meal, nice schnitzel meal one of the evenings in a kind of a much nicer part of the town. To say we went to the art gallery and things like that. I think I mentioned the port area as well. So yeah, I survived Hamburg, and then did warn Gavin Cooney to say actually where he was staying is slightly rough, so just be careful. So he survived as well.
The Hamburg Tourism Board won't be your best fan with this review.
No, afraid not.
Let's talk football. Let's start with the France-Portugal game. That's the game you were at for extra time. You want to have your piece first, maybe with the Ronaldo show? Maybe to open up?
Yeah, I talked a little bit about how Taylor Swift is playing the Hamburg Arena in a couple of weeks' time, so her Eras tour, but this was Ronaldo's Egos tour, and I did drop several Taylor Swift's song mentions into the preview, and yeah, he was center stage again, even though he was pretty poor. I think he's played the most minutes of any outfield player for Portugal in the tournament. Failed to get a goal, was kind of stomping around in the place, kind of taking up space where they would have been better having a striker who would actually score some goals. And he didn't help in the penalty shootout. He was took the coin toss and seemingly, and I had a look back at the video, he won the coin toss and decided to go second, which you do not do. Looking at all the big data of all the penalty shootouts over the years, essentially, if you go first in the penalty shootout, that team wins 55% of the time. You go second, it's 45% of the time. And it's all to do with the pressure of going second, where you have to take a penalty to stay in the competition. And that just plays a little bit on the mind of the penalty taker. And while he did score his penalty, João Felix missed his, and ultimately they went out. It was a really poor game, like two big heavyweights of European football. But Deschamps has the side set up defensively, and that's the way he likes it. And he talked about that afterwards. You know, I am a defensive coach, and if we don't concede goals, that gives us the platform to win the game. Portugal were probably the better team, did more of the possession, but ultimately they didn't do enough. And the fact that Martinez left Ronaldo on, not just for 90 minutes, but for 120 minutes, was really poor. And the post-match press conference afterwards, I didn't get a chance to ask a question, but it was unbelievable. No one asked him about why he kept Ronaldo on. The only question was, have we seen the last of Cristiano Ronaldo? And Martinez said, well, it's too raw, it's too soon to talk about it. I was staggered that no one asked him the question, because that was the big thing. You know, they had strikers on the bench that they could have brought on, and he decided.
Diogo Jota didn't play a minute.
Exactly. Yeah, such a good player. Now I know Martinez, he had all his stats to hand, that you know what the possession was, the number of corners they had, the number of shots they had, the number on target they had, and ultimately it was the width of the post. And João Felix's penalty was it was close, but if it doesn't go in, it doesn't go in.
Can I jump in
and
actually, just out of
go on.
curiosity, so just on the penalty point there, maybe Ronaldo gone second. Now, just refreshing memory, did he choose? Is it an option where you either you go first or pick the end? Did he? Like, I can't
No,
remember.
there's two coin tosses, essentially a coin toss for which end it is. And
Right.
I don't think you get to choose. There was a big roar in the stadium when suddenly they realised that actually the penalties were going to be down the Portugal end. But I think Michael Oliver, who was the referee, he went heads, it's that end, tails, it's that end. But either way, but then there's a second coin toss to decide who goes first in the penalty shootout. And in Hamburg, it was a bit different last night in Berlin. In Hamburg, there hasn't been a huge amount of travelling French fans. There was a sizable enough travelling Portuguese fans, but they were by far the loudest. They provide the only entertainment of nearly 120 minutes was their support to drum beat right the way through. And so the penalties were down that end, but I don't think that was Ronaldo's choice. But there's two coin tosses, and seemingly he decided he was going to go second.
That's bizarre. And that was never mentioned at the press conference either, but with Martinez.
No. It was only I saw it afterwards. It was mentioned. I think maybe the Sun had it and James Horncastle had it. He was there at the game. I was reading his stuff the next morning. His stuff in the New York Times, Daily Athletic, has been really, really good. He's been kind of following around, so yeah. But also the fact that Martinez kept him on for 120 minutes. It just seemed ridiculous. Like, get the guy off. He's past it.
Was he criticised at all for team selection? Like even regardless of Ronaldo, was he criticised at all with the Portuguese press?
No,
getting knocked out in the quarterfinal?
No, I was amazed. Absolutely amazed. Now it was late enough. I'm trying to think, was he was in? Yeah, he was in second. I thought I'd actually missed him by the time I'd come down from the top tier. Actually, Deschamps was in first, and then Ousmane Dembele came in because the player of the match comes in for the post-match press conference, which I think tells a lot. When the player of the match was a guy who came off the bench in the 67th minute. Now, he was very good when he came on. He brought some attacking verve. He scored his penalty. He took the first penalty, and he was asked about that. He said, well, I chose to go first. He wanted to take that first penalty. But the fact, I say a sub who came on the 67th minute was player of the match, I think tells you something about that game.
Yeah, I think you mentioned before in our Euro specials about Roberto Martinez. I think I saw a clip which sums him up. I think it was Paul Merson maybe 5-10 years ago when he was Everton manager. I don't know if you've ever seen it. And he says he was criticising Martinez over his time at Everton. And he says it's amazing. He's watching Everton performance and it's terrible. But he's like that guy in Men in Black where he'd walk into a press conference after the match. Everyone's about to get out to him. He'll say a couple of things and it's like he hits the pen. And everyone just forgets and goes, it wasn't that bad, actually. And it's kind of in his own Paul Merson way. I kind of get where he's going from. Like, I think a very lucky manager, as I said before, he blundered the Belgian golden generation, didn't win a tournament, never got to a final. Now he's somehow fallen into the Portugal setup where he's, again, knocked out in a quarter final. As I said, France have really stuttered. I think France were there for the taking. They're a bit. You can draw parallels with England, like they haven't got going yet in this tournament, but yet they're in the semi-final. And Portugal, again, I truly believe their team selection was better, had better players on the pitch. Like even a weird one was Semedo coming on for Cancelo, Fernandez coming off. Like even if Fernandez not playing well, you in the back of your head, penalties, known penalty taker coming off the pitch, bizarre.
Yeah, he is a superb penalty taker, and that's his run up where he looks at where the goalkeeper is going. He's very well set up positionally. The only
like
way
Tony kind of.
Yeah, exactly. The only that was like the no eyes.
We'll come to that in a sec. But go on.
Just what impressed me about Martinez was he was speaking in Portuguese, which is pretty impressive because Portuguese it's a very different language to Spanish. So I'll give him some plus points in that. In terms of that was the second game on Friday night. So the Spain-Germany game was on earlier. And the media center is essentially right under the stand in Hamburg. And when Germany scored, you could hear this massive roar from the German fans. I mentioned earlier on there wasn't a huge amount of Portuguese and French fans, and so there was a lot of neutral Germans at the game who were watching on their phones, or the bars in the stadium concourse were also showing the game. So there was a massive roar when Germany scored, which was quite interesting. And then I watched the the extra time in the press box where they had the press box does have television, so you can change the channel. So actually, you were able to watch that, and it was just a groan that went around the ground when Spain got the kind of the winner a minute from time. But so I watched a fair bit of that game, and I thought Spain were pretty good. And it is a bit of a pity that the host went out, and then the nominal runners-up hosts, if I can say Turkey, then went out the next night. But yeah, do you want to maybe talk about the England-Switzerland game next?
Yeah, I was just going to say to there. Well, I think it's a shame Germany kind of knocked out. Hating the host nation kind of. I think it's to get to the semi-final, and they get knocked out. Fair enough, but get knocked out a bit early maybe than you'd wanted host nation. And also, I think as well that I think that's ultimately going to be the winners of the tournament. I think it's going to be that game. I think the two of them have probably been the better sides. So I think Spain now are probably favourites, I'd say. But then again,
they are, because so just to remind people, it's Spain, France, and England, Switzerland are the semi-finals. So
yeah, but weirdly though, France could just win 1-0. Like they
could
win 1-0. Yeah, like they could stutter their way to a final. It could be in England and France final, and that's going to be bizarre.
Yeah, Deschamps was. He was pressed much more afterwards, and his team had bloody won the tie. Just about the performance of Mbappe and Griezmann, and they've been poor. Like Griezmann, he got hooked. He's not playing well. Mbappe has the excuse of the broken nose. And one stage in the game, he did get a header into the mask, and he was kind of down. You kind of felt a bit sorry for him. And Deschamps spoke about how, he was asked why he took him off, and he basically said that Mbappe had said to him he was too tired, and he's quite honest with Mbappe's quite honest with Deschamps, he said. And if he's tired, he doesn't have that extra speed to kind of go by players. And it was amazing he couldn't exploit that Portugal had a 41-year-old Pepe in the centre back.
But and by the way, Thuram and Pepe in that foot race, and Pepe kept up with him. That is that's good. Like that for a 41-year-old. And at that stage of the game, you're thinking, right, Thuram's going to have a go with him here. And Pepe's like, nah, 41, keep going. I'd got that. It's just class. Like,
there was a similar one in the Turkey-Netherlands game, and Virgil van Dijk was in the same position, but he didn't quite have enough pace, and he creamed your man out over the sideline and picked up a yellow card. But this is what you have to do.
Yeah. England then, again, kind of, I said already, similar to France, stuttering away to a semi-final. Probably a bit worse than France, it's fair to say. But they're in the semi-final and they've a good chance to get into a final here. Like, I mean, again, the penalties, Southgate, I think you want to touch on that a bit as well, with Gareth Southgate and how he's managed to turn his England side from consistently losing penalty shootouts in tournaments to now their second big win in the shootout under them.
Yeah, so I went to watch that game. I went out to the Olympic Stadium early on Saturday night, so I could actually watch that game. And there was various English journalists or photojournalists sitting around when Switzerland scored. There was a bit of a celebration, and it was interesting to kind of see the reaction. It's a quite a big press area, and there was a few cheers for Switzerland. But what surprised me was there was probably big cheers when England scored. I think it might have been to do with it was a really, really well taken goal by Saka. But when that game finished in the 90 minutes, I went up to the press box and then watched the extra time and the penalties from the press area. I had a really good seat. I ended up actually sitting. Reuters have a few seats at the front, and I booked my seat, happened to be beside them. So Philip O'Connor, Irish guy who's looking for Reuters later the tournament, he was sitting beside me. So we were watching them intently from the front row, the press box. And so watching England, they were certainly better than they were in a lot of their other games. And yeah, in terms of the penalty shootout, like for older people might remember, Gareth Southgate missing a penalty in Euro 96, which essentially cost them their home tournament. And then when, England had a lot of heartbreak in penalty shootouts across World Cups and European Championships. And when he took over as manager, he kind of, I wouldn't say he embraced the penalty shootout, but he went into the full things. What do you do in a penalty shootout? So yeah, he would have instructed his captain, if you win that toss, you go first. Other things like, again, looking at the big data, because people might scoff at, things like XG and other things, but you have a huge data set of penalty shootouts going right back over the years. So you can look at this. You can look at, penalty takers taking them with their dominant foot. Are you better going right? Are you going left? All these kind of elements. But one of the other things that they looked at is players who are too eager to take a penalty, waiting for the referee's whistle, where if the referee is almost deciding when you take the penalty. So Southgate instructs his players to actually, when the referee blows the whistle, that's fine. Take your time. When you're ready to take a penalty kick, then take it. Don't wait for obviously you have to wait for him to blow the whistle, but don't do it straight away. Even something small like he instructs his goalkeeper, so Pickford, to hand the ball over to the incoming penalty taker, so you get less of the opposition and can't like do a bit of kind of dirty tricks or whatever. So there's all these little elements that they put in place, and you have to say I did enjoy Saka scoring his penalty. You know, a bit of redemption. He had missed one in the Euros. You know, and people be aware there was a lot of racist abuse that was thrown towards certain England players in that shootout from the last Euros. So you know, he took an excellent penalty. It was Alexander-Arnold that took the winning one, and then Akanji's penalty. It was Akanji missed the penalty for Switzerland, I think, if I have that right, isn't it?
Yeah, it was Akanji first penalty.
Yeah.
Pickford, and Pickford's bottle, by the way. Like, if you've seen the clips for now online, like literally on front of them where they're all going to go, or where the probability of them going is. And he does that a lot of time with the club as well.
And Akanji's run up, well, like Philip and myself were looking at this going, he's going to miss this. I know it's always in hindsight, whatever, but he had that short, shitty run up. It wasn't like a Bruno Fernandes penalty that we mentioned earlier on, where he kind of stutters in the run up, but he's kind of waiting to see. And things like I was at a press conference when Jan Sommer was talked about the penalties. Now he in the last 16 game, the Italy game, now he said he doesn't worry about the shootout penalties. He only looks at the ones that you might get in open play, but he would have been getting. He talked about his goalkeeper coach would give him that instruction. So that kind of limit on the bottle. It's worth finding. There's England fans putting one up of Peter Shilton's ones, a little picture of what Peter Shilton had when he was in a goalkeeper, and it's like fall left, fall right, you know, just look perplexed. It's quite funny as well. But yeah, it's all those small things, and it's all. You know, it's a disgrace phrase maybe in terms of marginal gains, but these small things add up. And in the end, Portugal went out because João Felix was like 3 centimeters one way, and that's what it can come down to. But England have tried to make sure that anything that they can do, that they do, and that gives them the best chance of winning penalty shootout. And ultimately, a great penalty is one that's scored, and a crappy penalty is one that's missed.
And I think the thing England did have in their favour as well, that 3 of the players who took penalties are their penalty takers for their club. So obviously Palmer takes them for Chelsea, Saka takes them for Arsenal, and Tony, obviously we all know Ivan Toney, probably worth mentioning, but his penalty technique, how he doesn't even look at the ball, just looks dead eye at the goalkeeper. And like, that's very difficult then for the goalkeeper, because the goalkeeper tries to gauge where you're trying to go, and he's not showing anything. He's not even looking at. It's just an incredible way to take a penalty, and I think his percentage rate is like 99, 98%. He never missed one club penalty ever, I think. So like, again, having that in your arsenal for the England camp, to have 3 outstanding penalty takers, and as you said, Saka as well. It was a nice little thing for him to score after the Euros 3 years ago, where that was obviously a tough moment for him, and when England looked set to win the tournament, and then unfortunately his penalty alone. Marcus Rashford as well missed, I think, in that tournament.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
England, the England performance, then it's been probably the most criticised team probably at this tournament in terms of the big nations. Do you go along to BBC's kind of coverage? That was a much better performance from England, or would you be more?
I hadn't heard that, but that was my opinion. I did think it was better, but it wouldn't be hard because they weren't great. You know, they were particularly bad. Like, they were particularly bad in their last group game, although they had already gone through. So you know, they should have been out, only that Bellingham came up with that wonder goal in the last 16. So as I say, it wouldn't be hard to be better. But they're in the semi-final. They're facing the Dutch side, who, you know, we can move on to that maybe, but I've seen them 3 times and they're not great either. I think if England do get to the final and they face Spain, I think Spain will win.
Well, let's talk about Holland then. Or sorry, Netherlands. I've gone old school there. Let's talk about Netherlands and Turkey.
Well, you're going really old school because we got to go Turkey.
Turkey. Sorry. Turkey and Netherlands, we'll say, to be official about on this podcast. Turkey obviously took the lead. I always felt in the game that the Dutch would score. I don't know why. I thought a goal was coming for Holland, but I always thought if the Dutch did score, I thought Turkey would collapse. And unfortunately for the Turks tonight, that's what happened.
Yeah, I think it kind of ran out of steam a little bit. They did. The Dutch did start well, probably for the first 20 minutes, and they had some chances, and then definitely Turkey got on top. I'm saying Turkey because they changed their name under President Erdogan, who was actually at the game. There was huge security. As I mentioned, I was in the Reuters seat, so we were front row. Right to our left were plainclothes police because Erdogan was right down in front of us. So they were keeping an eye and making sure that no one came through. And he was there kind of in a political reasoning as well, because he wasn't happy that is it Demiral who scored a couple of goals for them in the previous round? He was suspended because he made this kind of wolf gesture. So there was a bit of and Turkey missed him. I think particularly in the second half because he was the centre half, and the whole thing was Wout course for all the Dutch, possession based play and free flowing football and whatever. Nothing beats bringing a big man on. And Ronald Koeman talked about it after the game. He said, they'd gone slowly out of the first half, and he wanted to bring the Wout on to provide him with a bit of a focus. Particularly with, he mentioned that Kobe Gakpo and Memphis Depay on the other side could get put crosses into the box, and he was just a handful. And the goal that the equalised the game wasn't from Wout Weghorst, but it was from Stefan Fry, who came up for a corner, and the kind of heads dropped at kind of that point after that goal. That was in 70 minutes, and then they got the second one 6 minutes later. People kind of thought it was probably Gakpo, which would have been his fourth of the tournament, pushing him outright as the outright goal scorer. But actually, he forced it home, but it was a touch from, I think it was Mulder. It was an own goal that came in. They were hanging on at the end. Some super blocks from the likes of the sub Van de Ven. Brilliant save by the Brighton goalkeeper as well, right at the death. But that's what you need to do. But it was a brilliant game to be at. The Turkish fans, huge numbers of Turkish fans, obviously in Germany, but in Berlin in particular. And they had 3/4 of the ground. They had their section, and basically any neutral tickets. Anytime the Dutch had the ball, it was just constant kind of whistles and boos and stuff. And
they looked a great atmosphere from the TV.
Yeah, it was really good. The Dutch had kind of one section, the orange wall. De Vrij talked about it afterwards, and but really you only heard them when they scored the goal. So yeah, it was a really cracking game to be at. Really, really good atmosphere in the Olympic Stadium. So one of the bigger, I think the attendance there is kind of over 70,000. So I think it's probably the biggest. Maybe it's probably the biggest ground in the tournament as well. So yeah, it was a real privilege to be at that one last night.
Yeah, I think and just mentioning Demiral's suspension, I think the annoyance about that is because of Bellingham getting the suspended sentence, and he wasn't put out of the game. So I think there is a justification there to be feel aggrieved. And we actually did mention in the previous episode as well about how fatigue could be an issue for Turkey, because we did say there was a lot of effort into that last 16 game, and they looked out on their feet. And I thought when you mentioned it there that they did look very fatigued in the second half. It looked like the turn maybe caught up to them.
Yeah, and that's exactly what player of the match De Vrij said afterwards. He talked about I could just quote him here: as a team, we need their strengths. They defend well. And last game they played 5 at the back and kept their lines together, so not much space for us to play in. But they'd given a lot in their last game. I think we had to create more space. But the spaces became larger and larger, and we created chances of the game, and that's exactly what happened. They were able to kind of exploit the tough game they'd had the previous one against Austria, and then the kind of chaotic game they had against Czechia in the previous round, where I think they picked up like 10 yellow cards, and it was mayhem at the end. There was like 3 yellow cards and a red card in injury time in this game in Berlin. The red card was for one of their non-playing subs off the bench. So yeah, got a bit hectic at the end.
Quick word on Gapco, just throwing it to you there. Is he one of the players of the tournament, or is he in the line now to be player of the tournament? I thought again he was very good last night.
Yeah, he was very good. He probably wasn't at the level he was at the previous game. They beat Romania 3-0, but he's playing really, really well. I think Liverpool fans will be hoping that they get a Gakpo like that in this form for their Premier League season. But yeah, he's been excellent, and like the fact that he's got 3 goals, he's still in the tournament semi-final and maybe a final to come. You probably expect that he might well be the top scorer, but we'll have to wait and see.
Post match then, do you want to chat what happened post game? Who you spoke to?
Yeah, so with a bit of audio, first bit is with Stephen Fry. So actually, I was able to ask the question. My favorite press officer came to me in the post-match press conference. So I just asked him about kind of what it meant to score the goal, and then afterwards a little bit of Ronald Koeman, which talking a little bit about what it meant to win this game. And thought it was interesting. Like the last time he'd been in front of the press in Berlin, they'd lost 3-2 to
Austria.
They'd lost 3-2 to Austria. And when we spoke after that game, where he said he was asked, what about his future as being a manager? Was he still razor sharp as a coach? So he didn't, to be fair to him, he didn't take a victory lap in the post-match press conference, but he talked about what it meant. So maybe we'll play that audio now.
Yeah, let's have a little listen.
Stefan, what does it mean to score a goal this evening and to get the Netherlands into the semi-final for the first time in 20 years?
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. Also because it was a very, very important goal. And, second half we kept believing, kept playing and kept looking for the spaces. They became bigger and bigger. And, we stayed patient. And, in the end it paid off. And it's also nice to see, that also the last minutes, the team knows how to suffer together, and so I think we can be very happy with a lot of things tonight.
I think for the whole nation, it's something special. We are a small nation, and we're part of the semi-final with England, France, and Spain. And we are really proud to get the opportunity to play the semi-final Wednesday. We had to suffer tonight, but that's in the whole Euros that there is not an easy one. They put everything tonight, and it was really an emotional match. And we had a big heart. And sometimes we get critics about that we don't have that compared to other nations. And the players showed tonight a big heart after 1-0 down in a good second half. And okay, what happened in the last 5 minutes, maybe you saw that better on the TV than I saw that from the bench. We had to suffer, but finally it's a great success to get the opportunity to play the semi-final.
Okay, before we wrap up then, quick look ahead to the semi-finals. As you said, it's France, Spain. It is going to be Holland and England. The first game then, I think you would say Spain on form are the team you'd expect to go through. But again, it's the inevitable question. If the French team clicks, if it just decides to start playing well again, it should be in theory a cracking game. Yeah, no, I think if you say that if France can keep a clean sheet, I'm not saying they're going to play for penalties right across only 20 minutes, but Spain attacking in terms of kind of Nico Williams, in terms of Yamal, like they have, and they're a different type of Spanish side than maybe other ones that kind of won the World Cup and won the Euros as well. So I think we know the way that France are going to play. We know the way that Spain are going to play. But yeah, I think Spain have enough to get through. They've had a tough game. They needed 120 minutes to get by Germany, but they managed to do that. They had that belief. They weren't playing for penalties. They went right to the end. So I think in terms of kind of they both played the same they played the same day, so there's no kind of benefit in terms of kind of and they both ended up playing 120 minutes. So in terms of kind of fatigue and things like that, I don't think that'll really factor into it. So you're going with Spain? Yeah. Then England, Netherlands. I think Netherlands have been better in the tournament, but the way it's just fallen for England, they've got to the semi-final. I just think England are going to get to the final.
Yeah, no, I saw the Dutch play France in their second game in Leipzig. There was a scoreless draw, if people can remember back that far. And, it was a decent enough game, but I think they probably should have lost. And they were pretty poor against Austria. But, I watched a good bit of the game against Romania, the one down in Munich. And they did certainly look good in that game. And, they know what they need to do.
And sorry to cut across, but their defense, if you actually go through, is very, very good. Like, I mean, and like you see the options coming off the bench with Mickey van der Ven, and even Frimpong is coming on, who's excellent for Leverkusen. Defensively, they have excellent options. It's just up front is where obviously this generation at the moment just doesn't have the attacking talent as it once had, say, go back 10 years ago, Van Persie and these type of players.
Yeah, like kind of Memphis.
He's hitting it. Yeah, you see a player like him wearing a band on his head, like that.
Well, yeah, like get back to the Fry. Like he won the Scudetto with Inter Milan. Like he's a good player. Virgil van Dijk, people are probably very familiar with him. He's not quite the same player he was since before the injury. He's lost that little yard of pace, but he's a real leader. You can see it in the games. That what type of player they have. But yeah, up front, I think, with you kind of wonder, will England maybe be able to exploit that now? Harry Kane isn't the most mobile kind of number 9.
No.
I think that probably plays into the hands of that Dutch defence. But when you've Bellingham and other players kind of playing in and around him, I think they'll offer maybe a different type of challenge to Turkey. Goulair was excellent again, and that kind of creativity I don't think they quite have in the England team. So I think it's a different type of.
They should because they have the Premier League Player of the Year, and now he was a bit better than last day Foden because he obviously playing the 10 now, and Bellingham's gone to the left a little bit, which probably worked a bit better. But they should, it's mad to say because I actually think Harry Kane's a brilliant player, and he's one of my favorite players the last 10 years. But he's actually been one of the biggest problems in the team. Because I don't know whether it's an injury or fitness or whatever's happened to him. He just seems legless up top. He's not doing Harry Kane things like getting on the ball, passing. Even a couple of times, balls gone across the box yesterday, and he's not even getting across the front line. He's just standing there waiting for the ball to fall to him. It's very unlike Kane. Just to be, he looks like a 37-year-old up top. It's like Ronaldo, kind of Portugal 39, which Harry Kane's just gone 31. So I don't know what's going on there.
I think he is carrying an injury, but it'll be a pretty close game. Like this, like in the semi-final, like with France on one side, Netherlands on the other, two teams that we're very, very familiar with and played them in the group stages. And actually, Ronald Koeman was asked, "Who did you want to play in the final?" And he said he preferred to play Spain because we've played France in the group stages, and he didn't even mention qualifying. So I think either way,
he's tired of France.
Yeah, I think we're all tired of France.
So are we going with that? You're going with a Spain and England final?
No, I'm going to say the Dutch because I've the games I've got to. I haven't I never saw Germany. I haven't seen England play. I've seen the Dutch play 3 times. So I'd like to maybe see them get to the final because I haven't even seen Spain either. For all the great games I've been at, I haven't managed to see some of these players. So France, Netherlands, I just seem to love to see these teams play,
Okay, well, I'm going to go France because I need them to win because of the sweepstakes.
Exactly.
I will go England then. So we'll go different. I'll go France, England. You're going to go Spain, Germany. Oh, Spain, sorry, and Netherlands. Apologies.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll sign off there. Okay, nice Sunday chat, McDowell. Thank you.
Great, we'll talk to you during the week.
Thank you for listening, and we'll chat again soon.